What's going on, everyone? Trust the Buzz here. If you're new to the channel, I make Charlotte Hornets content, so if that interests you, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. If you cannot tell by the thumbnail title of this video, in today's video, we are talking about Miles Bridges and his defense. Now, why are we talking about Miles Bridges and his defense? Well, mainly it's because I've seen people feel one way or another about it. There's people who I really respect their basketball opinions, not only just about the Charlotte Hornets, but in general, saying the same thing. I've kind of been feeling the same way. And I think that some people are overreacting to his bad defense, and I think some people are kind of over explaining or over defending Miles Bridges and his bad defense. So in this video, I kind of want to marry the two ideas and try to find a common ground, because I don't think there's a point to really be on one side or the other. I think it's more so we should all kind of agree on the same thing, because that's literally what's just happening on tape. So the reason people are upset about Miles Bridges' defense is because you kind of want him to be that player. That's kind of what you see for him. So let me explain. So for LaMelo Ball, he is an okay defender, average defender. I'm more than happy with that because he has superstar potential on offense. What he does on offense completely outweighs what he does on defense. However, even though that is the case, you still need someone to play defense, and preferably it shouldn't be your center all the time to make up for all your perimeter players' mistakes. That is where someone like Miles Bridges can come in. He's 6'7", 6'8", maybe even 6'6". It depends on how you look at it. But he is very versatile, and I can see him being someone that can guard all the way from guards to bigger wings. And he could do a pretty good job at it. We saw him do a pretty decent job at guarding Giannis at times. We've seen him guard, smaller guards pretty decently at times. And usually that's in man or when he's actively on the ball handler. But I think at times he does let people kind of run by him when he's not on ball. So that's a big reason for why people say he's not good on defense. But we need him to be good on defense or be better on defense, because as of right now on this roster, we do not have someone to kind of be that guy. We don't have someone that's like, I can score on offense. I'm not a liability on offense, but I really, really, really take pride in being that all-around defender on defense. And like I said, LaMelo Ball can't be that. I see it in Brandon Miller, but I prefer him not to, because Brandon Miller is so gifted offensively. He's a guy where it's kind of the opposite, where you are really, really good on offense, but also on defense, you're pretty good too. Like if your offense isn't hitting, then you can easily switch that. That we want the opposite from Miles Bridges, because we don't necessarily need him to be this 23 point per game score. We don't necessarily need him to. Once Brandon Miller kind of reaches where he needs to be, which I think is going to be sooner than later, we would need Miles Bridges to be the opposite. He's the third guy in terms of scoring, but you could possibly say he's the second most important guy on the team when we get to this point where, okay, he's going to drop 17, 18, 16 points a game, but he's also guarding, the best player on the other team and doing a good job of it. And that's where it kind of, like I said, gets kind of shaky, because he's not doing that. And his offense is still kind of in that range where I'm saying he's scoring to 20, he's scoring to 18, whatever. But his defense is also lackluster. And I think we're just going to need more than that if we're going to be a better team. Now, the biggest thing in this is that the Hornets do not have any other type of defensive player on this roster outside of Frank Ntilikina, who hasn't been playing. So if you look at it like that, that does cause a big issue, simply because we just have a bunch of guys who preferably rather play offense. Preferably, that's the part of the game they care about the most. And they're like, it helps for me to stay on the floor if I play a little defense. It's not, I really cherish, the value I could bring on the defensive end. So with that, it's hard to kind of find what spots these guys are supposed to play in because of that fact. When we have the Terry Rozier's, the Gordon Haywards, the PJ Washingtons, I'm just thinking of guys who play. I'm looking down the list real quick, and I've already mentioned Brandon Miller, Nick Smith Jr., kind of. Like when you have these guys, none of their main focus is defense. So the reason Miles Bridges to me looks so bad on defense is because maybe he's just not that guy we want him to be defensively, and we don't have anyone else to kind of take that role. So we're kind of just stuck there with Miles Bridges. So we're anticipating him to be this great, great, great defender, but that may not be his game at all. Now, yes, I'm going to need him to get better. I think guarding the ball handler, on ball, he's fine. Off ball is where he's just not paying attention anymore. And it's just not it's not skills. It's literally just mentally. Those are just mental lapses we cannot afford to have. He's also not the only one to have them. So I think there's other conversation to be had about other players on this team. And I think there's a lot of other things we should probably hash out on this team before we even get to Miles Bridges' defense. But I see what people are saying. I am of the people that say he could be better on defense. But I'm not using that as an excuse. There's a lot of other things I'd rather touch on before we get to Miles Bridges' defense. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below, because I think it's interesting that so many people are upset and then people are kind of over defending. Like, I've seen people talk about his defensive rating and how he has one of the highest defensive rating on the team. That's not saying much because we don't really defend as a team overall. So him being our best defender is not really a good thing right now. So I would really rather him kind of be that third guy to where, hey, look, I'm going to be the defensive anchor kind of. I'm going to be the guy that guard on perimeter. My role changes every game. I can be that kind of glue guy. Like I've heard someone say, and they said on Twitter, his name is Riv, I believe, and he mentioned that Miles Bridges should want to be the Draymond Green of this team. And not saying he plays like Draymond Green, not saying anything like that, but he should be the guy to where, coach, what do you need me to do? I'll do it. Because we have LaMelo Ball. In my opinion, we have Brandon Miller, and he's not there yet. Miles Bridges is a good gap to get, to have until Brandon Miller gets to where he needs to be. But then Miles, if these players hit their potential, Miles would then fall into third. And once you're third, we don't need you to drop 20 anymore. What about just dropping 16, but also being a very solid defender? Like, if you can do that, that would help the other two tremendously. That would help the team out tremendously. And right now, it's just hard to gauge because of just the way our team is structured. I think if we have a more structured team, we would see the pieces fall more aligned and we would kind of get somewhere going. Right now, it's just really hard to evaluate anyone as far as what they can be in the future and if they can be someone that can get us to the playoffs, because it's just a bunch of talent and offensive weapons thrown together and told to make fit. And so it's just really difficult to understand who it's not. Okay, as far as contracts and things like that, it's not really difficult. But as far as when it comes to the guys like LaMelo, we know. Brandon Miller, I still don't quite know where he fits just because he's simply just playing in a weird position. Same with PJ Washington. Same, you know what I'm saying? So guys like Gordon Hayward, Terry Rozier, I think they should be going. Gordon Hayward, he's an expiring. Pretty good, but it's not going to be someone that gets us in the playoffs. Terry Rozier just cannot simply play with LaMelo. When one is doing well, the other literally is stuck to doing nothing, and that it shouldn't be that way. And that's no detriment to them. That play your ball, play what has gotten you paid over these last few years, or LaMelo Ball gotten you paid now. Don't stop doing that. But when that's y'all's game, you need someone that you can play more off of. And right now we don't have that. So it's just really hard to gauge those other guys. Like I said, the PJs, the Brandon Millers, the Bryce, we can throw in Bryce McGowan, Nick Smith Jr., so on and so forth, because the rest of the roster kind of isn't complete. And once we kind of get more and more pieces, I think the roster will start kind of forming itself out. But until then, I wouldn't be too hard on Miles Bridges and his defense, but I also wouldn't defend his defense too much either, because as difficult it is to be hard on him because of his defense not being that good, I wouldn't go out of my way to defend it either, because there are times he just has mental lapses. The problem is he's not the only one. And then he's the guy we're looking to be the defender, because we know everybody else can't defend. So once again, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I think it's a pretty interesting conversation to have. I'm just not someone that's on either side, because I see both sides, and I'm not even trying to play the middle, but that's just the reality of it. It's really, really hard to understand who these guys are going to be when they're just playing. There's no roles and they're just kind of out there playing. Yes, I would love for Miles Bridges to be a better defender, but considering nobody on our team defends that well, it's just really hard to really just evaluate him properly. But like I said, let me know what you think down in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.